Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast where we unpack how social psychology explains some of today's most controversial social phenomena. I'm Alreem and I'm here with Ghada and Moza. Today we're diving into cancel culture, not just as a trend, but as a reflection of how our group identities and moral values shape our behavior.
Alright, let's start with a real-world example, Aunt Jemima's rebrand. Back in 2020, with people becoming more aware of racial stereotype, the brand had to switch things up and change their name to Pearl Milling Company. But this wasn't just a casual name change. It was people saying, hey, this doesn't sit right with us anymore, and you're profiting off of a racial stereotype. It's a perfect example of how when something goes against shared values, people come together and push for a change.
Exactly. Research in social psychology helps us understand this phenomenon. So for instance, basically I looked at this study that was published in 2023 by Costa and Azevedo, and what I found is that cancel culture often stems from a clash of values. So basically when individuals perceive a violation, whether it was related to racism, environmental issues, or other moral standpoints, they experience moral outrage. This emotional reaction leads to behaviors like the brand avoidance, the negative word of mouth, and even retaliation. In essence, cancel culture becomes a form of social enforcement, where group norms are reasserted to protect the community's identities.
And there's another layer to it. As the researchers Costa and Azevedo in 2024 found, they explained that canceling isn't just about expressing outrage, it's also about enforcing consequences. People cancel brands as a way to reclaim power, especially when they feel unheard or powerless in bigger social issues. So, in a way, cancel culture can feel like a form of collective justice, where individuals come together to make a statement.
That's a great point, Alreem. And it also connects to this other study that I looked at by Traversa in 2023. And he found that cancel culture often empowers marginalized communities. Calling out a brand or public figure isn't just about holding them accountable. It's basically also a way for people to reinforce their values and assert their identities in spaces where they've been basically historically ignored.
Right? From a social psychological perspective, cancel culture is kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's about keeping people and brands accountable. It reinforces the values we all care about. But when it spirals, that's when things get messy. It can turn into online harassment and suddenly the harm goes way beyond the original target.
Exactly what you're saying, Ghada. And that's where the line between accountability and cyberbullying can get blurred. The Aunt Jemima case is a powerful reminder of how public sentiment, driven by social identity and moral outrage, can force major change. But at the same time, those same dynamics can sometimes result in excessive punitive actions, where cancel culture becomes more about punishment than progress.
So, what do we take away from all of this? Basically, cancel culture viewed through the lens of social psychology is very, very complex. And it's a mix of group identity, moral judgment, and emotional regulation. It can be a tool for social change when used responsibly. But we also need to take in mind that it carries the risk of unintended harm. So if it turns into a mob justice.
Among the bucket models, 5 motivations that we studied in social psychology, belonging likely does have the biggest impact on cancel culture. At its core, cancel culture is a collective phenomenon fueled by group identity and shared values. And when people participate in canceling someone or something, they're not just reacting to an issue, but they're actually really aligning themselves with the community that validates their beliefs and reinforces a sense of unity. And the need to feel connected and accepted by like-minded individuals makes canceling more than just an act of accountability. It becomes a way to strengthen social bonds. While I see that control and trust also do really play important roles in this, in helping individuals feel empowered and restore ethical boundaries, belonging is what drives the movement forward. The desire to be part of a moral community and to affirm one's identity makes cancel culture so influential, turning individual frustrations into collective action.
We'd love to know what you think. When does cancel culture serve as a valid method of enforcing social norms? And when does it cross into causing collateral damage?
Thank you all for joining us today. Keep reflecting on how our shared beliefs shape behavior, and we'll see you all next time for another dive into this fascinating world of social psychology.